A free people ought to be armed. That was by George Washington. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about a pretty heated topic in the news right now and around the world. It's a very serious topic for many reasons, and that topic is gun control. Are guns a problem, or is it the people behind the weapons? Why is it that gun restricted cities and countries have the highest death rates even though they have the gun laws in place so that only law enforcement and other authorities are authorized to have a firearm? Why did our founding fathers put the Second Amendment in the Constitution? The Second Amendment was put in place for a very important reason, and it states, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Our founding fathers wrote the Second Amendment so that the people could have freedom and security in their state, so that they could have the ability to fight off a foreign invasion or, if necessary, to overthrow a tyrannical and abusive government. Also, they wanted the citizens to be able to protect themselves against criminals and defend themselves and their families and not have to rely on the police or somebody else to come and save them when it wouldn't be enough time. Many people think that guns are the problem and that we need to fix, and that we need gun control to fix this problem. But we look in history and it shows us that gun control has not fixed the problem, and it only takes guns out of law-abiding citizens' hands and it makes the problem worse. Excuse me. The problem with all this is that if you take away the guns, then you have the problem of the other countries and some cities where gun control has not worked and has backfired against them, causing higher death rates by firearms. So you start to think, why is it almost all the mass shootings happen in gun-free zones, with the exception of one since 1950? It's because these criminals know that these are easy targets and that nobody has a firearm to fight back because only criminals are carrying firearms in these places. Let's look at some facts. The U.S. is number one for the most guns per capita in the world, being 90 guns per 100 people. It's pretty substantially high. Number two is Serbia with 58.6 guns per 100 people. So with the most guns, we should have the most gun-related violence in the world. Is it would seem if guns are the problem? Actually, that's wrong. Number one is Honduras with 91.6 per 100,000 people. And Honduras also has some of the strictest gun laws in the world. With so many guns, where do you think the United States fits into the per capita murders out of 218 countries listed for per capita murders? Well, we came in at number 111, which just puts us right in about the middle at 4.7 deaths per 100,000. This number doesn't really seem too high compared to some of the other countries, but there's always room for improvement, so let's look a little bit deeper into the facts. Let's look at some of the highest city rates in the country and see what are the highest top 10. Well, number one is Detroit coming on, and that has also some of the strictest gun laws, and that has 54.6 per 100,000 murders. So if Detroit was a country, it would be second in the most murderous country in the world, second to Honduras, of course. New Orleans is also heavily gun controlled, and that comes in at second for 53.2 murders per 100,000. The top 10 cities all have something in common. They all have some of the most strictest gun laws, and they also have the highest murder rates. However, states with little gun restrictions have the lowest murder rate. Plano, Texas is the gun capital of the country, and that is the lowest murder rate in the country, coming in at 0.4 per 100,000 people, where almost every home has multiple weapons. If Plano, Texas was a country, it would be number 211 out of 218 on the list for murders per capita. So if it's not the abundance of weapons and guns that are the problem, then what is the problem? The problem isn't the guns, it's the people that are holding the guns. If a city restricted the owning of a firearm, then why are there's still gun-related violence in those cities and a much higher occurrence? The reason is that people that possess firearms, it's the reason that people possess firearms. The cities prove that the laws will not prevent or even hinder criminals from getting their hands on illegal firearms. If laws aren't working on keeping guns out of criminals, what do we need to do to take action? I think we need more law-abiding citizens to possess and carry firearms to protect themselves and other innocent people. How do you stop a bad guy with a gun? Quite simply put, a good guy with a gun. I do not think you should be required to carry a concealed weapon or any weapon at all. I think that should be your choice. I think, however, it should be the choice of the citizen. I think you should be given the opportunity. In a lot of cities, you're not even allowed to have a concealed carry anymore, and that just leaves the common person out for harm done to them. It's not, and it leaves them unprotected. Um, I think that if people had an option to carry concealed weapons, criminals would think twice about committing a crime because they know that this person or possibly somebody else is carrying a firearm and that they would put up a fight. And this would really deter criminals from creating such acts. So what's in it for me? Knowing that you can protect yourself, your family, and other innocent people from criminals that are out to hurt you and others. I want a more educated citizen and trained to be able to handle situations where they're needed. Everyone can play a part in this, and if you aren't part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. The more good people out there carrying legal firearms will bring down the amount of gun violence in these cities where violence is so high already. I want you to do your own research about gun-restricted cities and countries and think if all of these restricted gun laws, then why is there violence so prevalent? Could it be that gun restrictions do not work and restrictions will only keep guns out of law-abiding citizens and criminals will still continue to carry illegal firearms? It is your duty to protect yourself, your family, and innocent people as a contributing member of society. I am by no means an expert on this topic, but to me, the facts about gun laws do not lie, and neither does the history. We have been able to look at our past experiences and realize that we have put these restrictions in place hoping that they might work for the best. But when do we realize that it has had the opposite effect, and instead of making tighter gun laws, why don't we give the opportunity to good, law-abiding citizens the right to carry firearms and protect themselves and other criminals? Like I said, I'm not an expert on this, and I don't really have too many hours of research on it, but I looked up as much as I could. But after looking at both sides very closely, this is the best way I thought that I could solve this problem. Thank you. Have a nice day.